Okay, Ramisha and Tori, thank y'all for coming in for us to review your results. First, I just want to ask you, how did you feel about taking the Myers Briggs uh, personality test?
It was interesting,
Mm-hmm.
very interesting, and I don't know, informative. I'm wondering what the results gonna show.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about it, Tori?
I agree. It definitely was interesting, and now that you are going to let us know what the results are, I am kind of interested in knowing,
Mm-hmm.
what it's going to determine about me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How did you feel about the questions that were asked?
They were good. Kind of not tricky, but they were asking almost the same thing, but in a
Mm-hmm.
different way,
Right.
and trying to figure out your style, I guess, of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But they were good. They were good questions.
Good
Those good
question.
questions.
You felt like they were thought provoking, like it really made you think about yourself and how
Yeah,
you.
it definitely made me think about myself and I guess just the type of person I am and how I communicate
Mm-hmm.
as it relates to that. But yeah, you did have to put a lot of thought into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass you back your results, and I just want you to take a brief second or two just to kind of look at what type you are and the characteristics regarding that type.
See, I want to see this. ENFP. So what is the answer? Is it the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yours is ENFP,
oh, okay, the codes.
extrovert, intuition, feeling, and perceiving. And those are the way that you focus your attention, the way you take in information, the way you make decisions, and how you feel, how you deal with the world. And so, like, if you look here on the back, then it kind of gives you a screenshot and it gives different characteristics
Oh,
of your type.
good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is accurate too. Wow.
So, just briefly looking at it, as far as the characteristics listed with your type, Ramisha, how do you feel they add up? Do you feel like it's pretty accurate, or do you feel like something alerts you that seems a little off?
Actually, it's pretty right,
Mm-hmm.
pretty accurate, based upon like the type of person I am.
Mm-hmm. So it's 100%, or would you say about 75, 85% correct?
Not 75. It's more. I'll say more. It's not completely 100. I think sometimes it just
Mm-hmm.
depends on
Right.
the situation and how you respond. Sometimes it depends on what else you got going on in your life
Mm-hmm.
and the actual situation. But for the most part, at least 90%, I feel like it's pretty. It's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, what I want you to do is maybe put like a star beside at least three things that you feel like are pretty accurate.
Okay.
Tori, how did you feel about your report? Do you feel like it's pretty accurate, or do you feel like it's anything that alerts you that is alarming?
No, I think it is pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't even look at the back page. The back page.
definitely when they talk about that outspoken.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I want you to do the same too. Is kind of put a star beside at least three characteristics that you feel like are pretty dead on.
Three, which characteristics? Like one of these or one of these right here?
Uh-huh. One of
One
those
of
right
these
there
right
on
here.
that
All
paper.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Okay.
Oh my god,
This is really
for
good.
real.
It's good.
Decisive.
So it really kind of
Kinda, yeah.
confirms things.
Kinda. Just when I thought I won't do
Mm.
And then, since you said it's not completely 100% accurate, I want you to like underline one thing that you feel like was alarming or something that you question about the results.
coming from the snapshot part, or should I
Mhm.
snapshot? Okay.
Yeah.
Put a what
Either or,
line?
just underline what you think
Okay.
it if something alerts you or you feel like it's kind of questionable.
I got some of this kind of question.
Mhm. So, Ramisha, what were three of the things that you put a star beside that you feel like were pretty accurate?
Often seen by others as friendly, perceptive, persuasive, and
Mhm.
versatile.
Mhm.
Definitely, that's head
Okay. And how can you relate that to like your job duties and like relationships that you have?
on. I think when you're working in this field, um, you got to be able to be friendly not only just with your staff, but
Mhm.
also with the clients that you serve,
Mhm.
because some of them have experienced a whole lot of things, and they
Mhm.
need somebody that's kind of like relatable
Mhm.
and not come across like, you know, non-relatable
Right.
without under their situation, understanding their situation. So approachable and like they can feel
Mhm.
like they can tell you anything.
Mhm.
Um, what else? That's it. Persuasive. I think people have to see the big picture. You got to be able to convince people,
Right.
like, to be engaged. Well, like as a leader, like if I don't believe in the mission, I don't believe in serving the kids and giving excellence. The team isn't gonna believe in that. So I gotta persuade them like this is good. We're doing our best, so they can continue to do their best
Mhm.
and give the same thing. I think, and also persuading clients, not in a bad way because of what I want, but
Right.
persuading them to be engaged. Like it's
Mhm.
gonna help. You're gonna see the results if you put in the time. So
So kind of being a motivator with
yeah,
staff and with clients.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they need it. And versatile, you gotta be able to change because each atmosphere is gonna be different, different
Mhm.
staff, different attitudes. You gotta kind of bend a little bit, knowing this person's strengths, knowing that person's weaknesses, and kind of making it all work together.
So do you feel like you're able to do that well, or is that an area you may struggle in sometimes?
I think I have struggled in the past with
Mhm.
that. I think I'm getting better at it now, but
Okay.
I think I have struggled before, like seeing what people's weaknesses are and their strength, not focusing on the weaknesses, but need to focus more on their strengths so
Right.
we can work together.
That's
Good.
good. So, Tori, what were three things that you felt that were pretty accurate?
Um, it states decisive, clear, and assertive. Focused on the present, applying relevant past experience to deal with problems, and usually seen by others as concise,
Mm.
concises,
Conscious,
Conscious.
conscious, I guess.
dependable, decisive, outspoken, and self-confident.
And how do you think those characteristics correlate with your job duties and like relationships that you build?
Mm, I think they correlate with my job duties in regards to the focus on present, applying relevant past experience to deal with problems. Because I know a lot of times when we're here and we're making decisions, I always kind of think about how it happened in the past and
Mhm.
trying to just do something different.
Mhm.
In regards to that one, clear and assertive. I think when again like when we might be in a management meeting or just talking to employees, I think I try to be just kind of clear and direct with them.
Mhm.
Um, in regards to I guess like what we're looking for or how they're supposed to do certain tasks. I definitely think I'm a very outspoken person.
Mhm.
Sometimes I might can be a little bit too outspoken.
So, meaning too outspoken, do you feel like that is a detriment to like some of your relationships or like your job duties, or?
Um, maybe.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe so. I guess it just depends on the person and how they
Right.
take it.
Right.
I think it can be. detrimental if I'm like talking to someone who's not used to that,
Mhm.
not used to having someone who's very like outspoken and just kind of tells you straight up, as opposed to like just trying to figure out ways around talking to them. But I also think it can be a good thing because they kind of know that it's like clear cut, and
Right.
I'm like not like beating around the bush, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So to speak. I definitely think I'm dependable. Yes.
So, and what was one thing you underlined, Ramisha, that you felt was questionable?
Mm, there's two of that one. Couldn't find the right two, I guess. I was kind of stuck between like affirmation from others,
Mhm.
support others, and readily express appreciation. I'll do the supporting of others and readily express appreciation, but the affirmation part, not really. I like to see appreciation, here and there,
Mhm.
but actually sometimes I get embarrassed by other people
Mhm.
affirming that you're doing this. Like too much attention sometimes can be
Mhm.
enough because I feel like I'm highlighted a whole lot
Right.
in
So
my
you
personal life.
basically,
I kind of like, yeah.
so you basically want to do your job and get it done and know that that's what you're supposed to do, but you don't necessarily need like the affirmations, the acknowledgement, the hoopla of all the attention
Gotcha.
on me because I completed my duties.
Got 50-50. I would
50
say,
50.
yeah, 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do want to know that you appreciate it. Hey, you did this, but it don't always have to be about that.
Right.
It don't have to be about that.
Right. And what was one thing that you felt, Tori, that was kind of questionable?
It says adept to organizing projects, procedures, and people. And I don't think it's that I'm that way, because just looking at the word, the adept word, it kind of talked about being an expert,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess I just don't understand, like,
What does mean?
yeah, like what
So
is
you still kind of feel like, you're able to learn from other people.
right.
Like you're not an expert in every
Oh
specific
yeah,
area.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm not an expert at organizing projects
Mm-hmm.
or procedures or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying.
So you're more so if someone else organizes it and gives you a task, you can complete it, but you don't want to be the expert, the overseer
Exactly,
of
seeing the project.
complete.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that being me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather somebody tell me, and I'm like a question. I have to ask questions. Like it's not like I know like, off the gate. Like I have to ask questions and make sure that I'm on the right task. So I definitely don't think that's maybe in some way, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know with taking, this particular test, it's supposed to help, with working relationships and for you all to like understand your personality type if you've never taken the Myers Briggs before. But how do you think you all's relationship is at work, and how do you feel like you complement each other?
Oh, me.
Each other, you too. You
A
too.
good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah, I definitely think we got a good relationship. I like Ramisha's like management style,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's why we complement each other. Because I mean, I know me and you know from talking to like other, yeah. So I definitely think we complement each other, me and Ramisha. I think that just Ramisha's management style, like I was saying in the beginning, like it's similar to mine, and like we're very direct
Mm-hmm.
people, and we give people chances, but after a while it's kind of like we know where to draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
So you all complement each other with supporting as far as like decisions within the agency,
right.
keeping things grounded, and managing staff pretty direct. That's what
Right.
you feel like you complement each other in that way. Do you think that it's anything now from hearing each other's types and with you all working with each other, anything that you feel like where you all bump heads at based on your working relationship and the results of your test?
Actually, no. This is what you got about to value competence efficiency result. Conscious, dependable,
Hold on, that was
decisive,
you. That was you.
curious, creative, and imaginative.
Oh, that was
So
right.
curious.
It's kind of different when you see it on paper,
Right.
after
Yeah,
asking the questions.
Decisive, clear, and assertive. I don't know if you decisive. I think you clear. How you be decisive and clear?
That's what I was kind of trying to figure out.
Well, I think maybe just you being clear as far as like giving clear directions or clear on like the things that you say, but maybe being decisive in how it's distributed or how it's given to specific people, which I think you kind of mentioned, like you know how to speak to or what things to say to certain people, but you're still clear at the same token.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And since you all's Myers-Briggs are totally different from each other, so it's surprising that you don't face challenges. Do you feel like you all face challenges
with each other? Or
with each other, as far as like your working relationship?
Which is good. I think so.
And maybe the reason why is because we're different. You know, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I see it still similar, even though hers didn't show up saying often seen by others as friendly, perceptive, persuasive. I think she exemplifies it. I can see that in her working relationship and how she deals with people. Energetic, enthusiastic. I see those characteristics, even though it's not listed on hers. So maybe.
And it just may have been all in how you perceive the wording of the questions that came out with those results, because you never know, if you might complete it again, you might have slightly the same, or it might be slightly different.
Yep.
So now, since you all looked at your forms, I want you to switch forms so you can look at each other's a little bit more in depth about their type and the characteristics surrounding their type.
Logical, analytical, critical. That sounds like me.
Right. That should
I
be.
mean, this like this spot.
So something catches your attention on Tori's feedback. What caught your attention?
The logical, analytical, and objectively critical.
So you feel like that
That may be more me.
that's more you.
She don't display herself in that way, so which is great, because she may be what be happening cognitively, but you don't even know it. She's analyzing. But with me, I verbalize that I'm analyzing. You know it.
So you process your information verbally. She processes her information internally. Is there anything that kind of sticks out to you, Tori, after reviewing?
The energetic, enthusiastic, and spontaneous. I definitely think. I think the making decisions on the basis of personal values and empathy as well.
But you think the spontaneous part, it doesn't mirror who Ramisha is, or?
Oh no! I was saying, I think that's me.
That's more you.
That's
Okay,
more
that's
me.
more
So
you.
in regards to Ramisha, let's see. The curious, creative, and imaginative. I didn't think that. I don't know.
You didn't think that.
I did. And I don't see. I don't know. And you got it starred too. Like it's one of your good. Really? Yeah, I missed that.
I'm curious.
Yeah. So I mean, see, it's something that you can, have learned about each other that you may not have known, even though you all have been working with each other for how many years now?
7.
7 years. Yeah.
And I think, well, you got it hot. You got it underlined anyway. I can agree with you with this one. You said you underlined it. Why? Because you don't.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Agree. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure if I agree.
Is there anything based on your results that you feel like you need to work on?
Based on my results?
Off of your results. Oh, you can switch papers.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the one for me, likely to value competency, efficiency, and results. Maybe I need to work on that piece. Because I can't necessarily say that I don't want anything to be efficient, but sometimes it's more so for me about getting the work done more so than me actually being you know what I'm saying? Even though it needs to be efficient, right, but.
So maybe you saying you need to focus more on the quality of the work versus just it being submitted.
It being submitted,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And not to say that I don't focus on the quality of, because of course we don't want just anything, but
Right.
you know how other people here at the job may focus on the quality.
Did you see a drawback or anything, Ramisha, or something you feel like you might want to work on?
Unusually perceptive of people. I don't really know what that means. Of what's going on in the world around them. I am very perceptive, though. I think I look at the whole picture, what's going on in somebody's world before I kind of make it seem like, why are they acting that way? That's because this going on, that going on. Remember, like yesterday, I was like, something else is really going on.
Right.
So you feel like it's something you need to work on, or?
Well, maybe I don't need to work on that. But sometimes, yes, I do, because I'll not consider those factors when something is going on at work. I just see it for face value, like,
Right.
oh, they're late, or they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And then it may be other external factors, and then you've already punished them, you've already made them feel bad, and then they've got some serious issue going on. Then you got to go back and say, well, I so apologize because I didn't know that. I have empathy for you. It don't exclude it, but
I guess it's different if you don't know.
you don't know. You're acting on what you just see.
But y'all know Ramisha is more so all about, like, you need to make sure you still gotta come to work. You gotta make sure you come, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily that she's not looking at that, but at the same token, you still got a job to do.
Right.
So.
But you can be empathetic to what's going on, but you're very strict on the expectations of their duties.
Yeah. So I might either. I don't know if I do need to work on it, but I feel like if you bend a little, sometimes they take advantage of it. That's what I struggle with. So it's very 50-50. I bend after you show me that you're trying your best.
So how do you all, since you really didn't have any conflicting issues with each other or anything like that, how do you feel like you appreciate each other as far as your worth to the agency?
I can definitely say I appreciate Ramisha. She's very dependable. She's there when I need her to be there. I can always, you right, I can count on her. She's able to run that program in Wilson without a lot of oversight.
I think it helps because I feel like you're appreciated, and also it's an open door policy. I don't feel like I have to be the expert. If I don't know something, I don't feel like you penalize us for not knowing. Like, come here, if you have a problem, just let me know in advance or whatever. And it's always a friendly culture.
Okay.
It's a good atmosphere, and that makes a good difference too. It's not stressful. You're already stressed at work with staff, but I don't feel like it's a stressful environment, which is good. It makes it better.
To work in.
Yeah, it makes it very better. Very better. That's what makes it.
Okay.
It's better.
Now, I know you all had pointed out some strengths and things that you felt were pretty accurate. Do you feel like your strengths like impede your working habits?
I think so. I
like how you said that you feel like you're outspoken and you're very direct, and you feel like that's one of your strengths. Do you feel like that impedes like your work environment? Do you feel like sometimes that can be a detriment or whatever to working relationships in the agency, even though it is a good strength?
Right.
But do you feel like that it can be conflicting at the same time?
I think so. I think I have maybe noticed, like, some people might not want to approach me, but maybe it's because of me being so outspoken. Like, I remember an employee like had mentioned that before. So, I think it can be impede like my environment sometimes, where it feels like that they might not think that I am approachable, even though I am. Like, you know what I'm saying? But.
And how do you feel like you can kind of stretch that to where staff can feel comfortable to approach you? What do you feel like is maybe one or two things you could try to do to improve that and decrease like conflicting relationships within the agency?
stuff I already do. Like we open door policy. I mean,
Open
they
door
can come in
policy.
and talk to me anytime. Maybe just make them feel more comfortable around me when we're like in an environment where we're together, like staff
Mhm.
meetings.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel
So
like I already do
basically,
so.
having a more open door policy and being
Mhm.
more personable
Right.
with staff.
Maybe even talk to them like on a more personal level as opposed to it always being about work.
Mhm.
And then maybe that way they'll be able to see that, I am approachable.
See a different side of you.
Right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Ramisha, what about you? Do you feel like, well, I know you said one of your main strengths was focusing on the bigger picture and persuading people and motivating people to see the bigger picture. Do you think, like, is that being one of your strengths? Do you feel like that can cause conflicting relationships as far in within the work environment? Like, can your strength be a detriment to the work
Yeah,
environment? How do you
can
feel
be.
so?
Because you have to understand to meet people where they are.
Mhm.
And I think I want people to be already there.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's the conflict. People have to learn, they have to grow, and they have to develop. Because I have to learn and I have to grow.
Mhm.
And sometimes that can be the conflict. Your picture isn't their picture, but it doesn't mean they don't want the same picture.
Right.
They just don't have that picture at the moment. So you can motivate them, but ask what motivates them. Listen to the signs and the body
Mhm.
language of what they're saying
Mhm.
in order for us to work together better. So,
Mhm.
um, knowing that everybody's not going to be on fire the way you're on fire, and they may get there. It may just be a little bit later.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so
So you're saying basically one way you could kind of stretch yourself to allow people to see the same picture within the agency is kind of meet them where they are, understand their needs, and kind of have conversation with them about their feelings, their thought process, and things of that nature.
yeah, and being more of a support rather than what is it, the reprimander
Mhm.
all the time, but
Mhm.
taking a step back, saying, okay, now what can I
Right.
do to help you reach this goal? I'm
Right.
here.
Right.
So it's something to break down, but I'm here. And making yourself available, I think that'll help. It's
Mhm.
helped because I practiced it. I finally started practicing. I had to just eliminate what I was
Mhm.
doing because that wasn't working.
Right.
And you kind of get better feedback. You get more motivation from folks. So
Okay. Well, as we close out, I just want to say, thank you for your time in completing the evaluation and having this feedback session. But as we close out, Ramisha, could you maybe tell me one new thing you've learned about Tori, and Tori, one new thing you've learned about Ramisha?
I learned that Tori is more direct than what I thought then. I didn't know she was as direct. I know she can be direct. I definitely have seen it. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know she was
Where
very,
have you seen it?
like, it depends on what's going on regarding financial issues.
Mm-hmm.
And when it, for audits, you very clear, no, they can't do that now. No, we need to stop. No, we're not going to do that. Very direct. I think you give people the opportunity to change, and then when it's like, oh my God, this is not working, let's just stop it. Like you, me, I'm like, well, let's just wait a little bit more. No, that's it. So I've seen the directiveness, because she seems very open, very friendly,
Mm-hmm.
and
I am.
assertive. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Good to hear.
Well, that's a good thing. Now you're more aware. And Tori, what do you feel like is one thing you learned about Ramisha today?
Definitely that she's creative and curious. I did not know that. I didn't. So just finding that out today, that's something that I wasn't aware of. That you're really creative. We're gonna have to tap into that creative side because I was not aware of that. So I would definitely have to say that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, like I said, I want to thank you all for your time, and I'm glad that you all got something, and were receptive to the feedback. And so hopefully you can take away something from this to help with your working relationships.
Thank you very much. tasks
Thank you
for the
so much.
task.